AITA for calling off my engagement after my fiancée wanted an open relationship only for herself? I'm 29 years old, and I work as a mechanic. I've been doing this since I was 23, and honestly, I love what I do. I spend my days fixing things with my hands. I have a great team of coworkers, and my boss is more of a father figure than a boss. The pay is decent. I won't get rich, but I pay my bills and even manage to put a little aside some months. The best part of my job is this project I'm working on, my grandfather's 1967 Mustang. This car is something special. Before passing away from cancer, Gramps made me promise to restore it. He was the one who taught me everything about cars since I was a kid, so small I had to stand on a milk crate to reach the hood. He always said we had motor oil in our veins instead of blood. 4 years ago, I met Chloe. It's a funny story, actually. Her father is also a mechanic and owns his own garage on the other side of town. He brought a complicated transmission job to our shop for a second opinion, saw me working, and decided to play matchmaker. He asked me to take a look at his daughter's car. Apparently, the AC was acting up. A classic dad move. When Chloe came to pick up her car, we hit it off immediately. She worked as an office employee at a marketing agency downtown. Nothing special. We went for coffee and talked for hours. She seemed genuinely interested in my job, asking me questions about the cars I was fixing. Even better, she got along great with my family. My mother practically adopted her after her first Sunday dinner with us. We moved into a nice little apartment downtown after 2 years. Chloe often came to the garage on weekends, hanging out while I worked on Gramps' Mustang. She even had her own overalls. She helped me sand parts, handed me tools, and learned what each component was for. We planned to use the Mustang as our wedding car, decorated with flowers. Life was pretty great. We had our routines. She'd cook dinner some nights, I'd cook others. Yes, a mechanic can cook too. We watched movies, went out with friends, and had family meals. Nothing extraordinary, but it was perfect for us. My buddies at the garage adored her. Their wives invited her to girls' nights. Everything was going smoothly. Even our arguments were trivial. She would grumble because I left my work boots in the living room, and I'd grumble because she left her wet towels on the bed. But we always worked things out. We had a rule: never go to bed angry. I had been planning my proposal for a while. I had saved up for a ring that wasn't huge, but was beautiful. I did it at my parents' house during Sunday dinner with both our families present. Chloe cried tears of joy. My mother cried, her mother too. Even my father had something in his eye, if you know what I mean. We immediately started planning the wedding. Nothing flashy. A ceremony in a small local church, with a reception at the community center where Chloe had volunteered. She wanted it to be simple, saying she preferred to put the money into our future rather than burning it all on one day. Then, about 3 months ago, everything changed. Chloe got a big promotion at her company. She went from a simple employee to a senior brand strategist or something like that. She was super excited, telling me about all the projects she was going to work on. I was proud of her, truly. She had worked hard for that. But if I had known what was coming after that promotion, everything changed with Chloe, and she was so obvious in her behavior. Seriously, what did she think? That I was stupid just because I fix cars instead of working behind a computer? Every morning, she spent an hour getting ready. New makeup, new hairstyle, overpriced clothes she ordered online. We're talking about $300 blouses. I saw the credit card bill while paying the rent. That's almost 2 days of my salary, just for a top. Her supervisor, Mark, started scheduling lots of emergency meetings late at night. Honestly, how many crises can a marketing firm have? It's not like they're saving lives or fixing broken down cars on the highway like my buddy Tony. But Chloe would come home at 9 p.m., sometimes 10 p.m., saying they lost track of time on a project. I started noticing other things too. She always put her phone face down on the table when I was there. She went out on the balcony to take calls, even when it was freezing. Once, I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and saw her texting someone at 1 a.m. When she saw me, she turned off her phone instantly and pretended to be asleep. The worst was her attitude with my friends and family. They're good people, the kind who would give you their last dollar if you needed it. My best buddy and his wife had a baby and invited us to dinner. Chloe spent the whole meal looking at her phone under the table, then said we had to leave early because she had a headache. An hour later, I saw her post a photo on Instagram from a wine bar with her colleagues. Another time, my sister Emily needed help moving. Chloe adored Emily. They were like best friends. Emily had even asked her to be her bridesmaid last year. But suddenly, Chloe was too busy, claiming she had to prepare a big presentation. So, I went alone. And there, a new neighbor of Emily's who also works at Chloe's company told me there was no big presentation that week. At home, it was the same. Before, we cooked together almost every night. Nothing gourmet, but it was our thing. She'd chop the vegetables, I'd handle the meat, and we'd talk about our day. Now, she went out all the time for dinner with her team or for networking over drinks. When she was home, she ordered overpriced dishes and ate while staring at her phone. Remember the Mustang I talked about? Chloe had completely stopped coming to the garage. Before, it was our Saturday ritual. We'd work on the car, then go to lunch at this little Mexican place around the corner. It was a whole day. The owner, Maria, still asks me about her. Now, Chloe said the garage was too dirty, that she couldn't risk ruining her work clothes, as if she couldn't change. One Saturday, I had taken an extra shift at the garage. Chloe had told me she was going shopping with her colleagues. Then my cousin Jake sent me a photo. He had seen Chloe and Mark in a fancy restaurant on the other side of town, clearly not shopping. They were sitting very close, laughing. Jake asked me if I knew she was there. I played it cool. I replied yes, surely a work lunch. But Jake is not an idiot. He just sent back, bro, and I knew he was thinking the same thing I was. So, I started observing more. I noticed that these professional events always fell on days when I had late shifts at the garage, and that she became nervous if I said I wanted to drop by her office to bring her lunch. Once, I really tried to surprise her with a sandwich from her favorite deli. The secretary told me she was in a meeting, but her car wasn't even in the parking lot. The final straw was a weekend when we were supposed to go choose flowers for the wedding. Chloe canceled at the last minute, claiming an emergency strategy meeting. Another one of her so-called marketing emergencies. I was pretty annoyed. I called her work to leave a message about our dinner plans. Guess what? Mark's secretary told me they were both out of the office that day. No meeting. In hindsight, the signs were all there. The password on her phone, the weird work hours, the new clothes, the constant texts, the way she jumped every time her cell phone vibrated, the fact that she no longer wanted to spend time with my family, her remarks about my job, my clothes, my friends. As if the life we had built together was suddenly no longer good enough for her. I knew something was going on, but I let it be, waiting to see. But you know what's funny? During all this time, I continued working on the Mustang. Every free moment, I was at the garage, fixing it up. My grandfather always said, "Son, when life gets complicated, focus on what you can fix with your hands." So that's what I did. I kept my head down, worked on the car, and waited for Chloe to show her true colors. And my God, she sure showed them. It all happened one evening, a Tuesday, nothing special. I had just finished a 10-hour shift at the garage. All I wanted was a shower, to eat something, and maybe watch some YouTube videos on vintage car restoration. Chloe was already home when I got back, which was weird since she worked late almost every night. She had ordered sushi from that fancy downtown restaurant. Another red flag, because she only gets that when she's trying to butter me up for something. The last time, it was when she had scratched my pickup truck backing out of the driveway. We were sitting on the couch. She was barely touching her food, just pushing it around with her chopsticks. She was wearing another one of her expensive new outfits, full makeup and everything, even though she had supposedly been home for hours. I knew what was coming. I was even waiting for it. I already had a plan in mind for the moment she would finally have the courage to say it. So, I sat there, eating, waiting for her to gather her courage. Finally, she put down her phone, the first time in months she'd done it on her own. She turned to me with a super serious look. "I have to tell you something," she said, all dramatic and solemn. Normally, this is the kind of moment where a guy starts to panic. But like I said, I was expecting it. So, I looked at her and simply said, "What's up?" looking detached, as if I had no idea what was coming next. She started her little speech that she had obviously rehearsed. "I've been thinking a lot lately to that, I bet. And I think we should maybe explore other options before the wedding." She spoke softly, as if she was explaining something to a kid. I took another bite of sushi, looking thoughtful. Then she dropped the bomb. "I think we should try an open relationship." My stomach nodded. Chloe had always made fun of her friends who tried that kind of relationship, said it was stupid, and had never considered it for us. But here, a few months before the wedding, it couldn't come out of nowhere. I knew there was something fishy. I wanted to scream, but seeing her face, all excited and impatient to hear my answer, I decided to play along. This is where my plan came into play. Instead of getting angry, as she surely expected, I put down my chopsticks, took a deep breath, and said, "You know what? I was thinking about that too." You should have seen her face. It was as if someone had just canceled her favorite TV show. Her jaw literally dropped. I continued, going deeper into my role. "I'm so happy you brought it up. I was wondering how to broach this with you. It's perfect." I was smiling as if I had just won the lottery. She started stammering, completely surprised by my reaction. "You had thought about it too?" "Totally," I replied, taking out my phone. "Actually, you know the new receptionist at your office, Jessica, the redhead? You could give me her number. She looks super nice, and she's always adorable when I drop by." There, Chloe's face changed completely. You could literally see the moment her plan collapsed. She went from shocked to furious in half a second. "Jessica? Why would you want her number?" I played dumb. "Well, if we have an open relationship," I told myself I could start with her. She told me she liked vintage cars the last time I stopped by. I could show her the Mustang. Chloe jumped off the couch as if she had been burned. "That is not what I meant," she practically yelled. "Why not?" I asked, still in a hyper-calm tone. "Isn't that an open relationship? We both go out with other people." And there, everything came out. The moment I knew exactly what she thought of me. According to Chloe, I am not at the right professional level to date someone like Jessica. Apparently, I must first work on myself. And the best part? She thinks the open relationship should be one way. Just for her, because she is experiencing personal growth thanks to her new position. I couldn't help myself. I burst out laughing. A real fit of laughter. "So let me get this straight," I said, wiping my eyes. "You want me to authorize you to have an affair while I stay home working on my career. Is that right?" She got angry, started crying, saying that I didn't understand and that I was twisting her words. That a guy in my situation should be more understanding regarding her needs. That with her new title, she must be able to network correctly. "Network," I repeated. "Is that what we call it today? Is that what you do with Mark during all those emergency meetings late at night?" Her face at that moment was priceless. It looked like she had seen a ghost. She started stammering that I was paranoid, insecure, that my lack of self-confidence was showing. Me? I sat there eating my sushi, watching her dig her own grave. Every excuse she brought up confirmed what I already knew. It wasn't a question of an open relationship, nor growth, nor networking, nor all those pretty corporate words. It was just that she thought she had outgrown me, that her new title suddenly made her superior to the guy who fixes cars, that she deserved to move on to better while keeping me as a backup plan. Well, I had news for her. This mechanic may work with his hands, but he is not an idiot, and he is certainly not anyone's plan B. After that evening, I went to sleep at my friend Leo's place. His wife, Jenna, prepared their guest room for me. She wouldn't accept my refusal. She even made me breakfast the next morning. Pancakes and everything. Real friends, you see. I called my boss first thing in the morning and told him everything. He has known me since I was a teen, when I hung around his garage after school to learn about cars with my grandfather. He's like a second father to me. "Take your day," he told me. "Dev can handle your appointments." Then he added, "You know what your grandfather would say now? Trust your gut, kid." And my gut was screaming that there was more to this story, much more. So, instead of going to work, I parked my pickup truck, not the Mustang, too flashy, across from our building at 7 a.m. Chloe's car was still there. Usually, she leaves for work around 7:30. I waited. And at 7:25 sharp, she came out, all dressed up in one of her new outfits, designer bag, the complete package. But instead of heading towards her office downtown, she took the complete opposite direction. I followed her, keeping a few cars between us. Not very proud of playing detective, but I had to know. After about 15 minutes, she parked in a chic Riverview complex. You know, those luxury, overpriced apartments where all the young executives live. And who came out to greet her? Mark, her famous supervisor. Expensive suit, impeccable hair, shiny shoes. They didn't even try to pretend. They started kissing right there in the parking lot, as if they had done it 100 times before. My hands were shaking so much that I almost dropped my phone, but I managed to film it. I took photos too. A part of me wanted to get out of the pickup and confront them on the spot, but honestly, he wasn't worth an assault charge. So, I just watched, helpless, as they got into his car together, all lovey-dovey. They didn't go to the office. No, they left for a posh restaurant downtown for breakfast. Must be nice to have time for that on a weekday. Meanwhile, the guys at my garage already had 2 hours of work under their belts. I went back to Leo's after that. Jenna saw my face and understood immediately. I showed them the video. Leo started swearing like crazy. But Jenna, she became very calm. Then she said something that hit me hard. You know that has nothing to do with your job as a mechanic, right? It's just that she's an unfaithful person. She would have done it regardless of your job. She was right. It wasn't a question of social class or career. It was just Chloe, selfishly thinking she could have it all. The faithful fiancé at home and the chic affair with her boss. She knew what she was doing. It wasn't a mistake, not a passing curiosity. She had already made her decision, surely well before talking to me about it. And that hurt even more. The woman with whom I thought I would spend my life wasn't just content with betraying me. She was ready to lie to my face and present it as an enlightened idea that we should explore together. But what stung even more was the way she looked at me after her promotion. As if I was no longer on her level. As if the guy she once called a real man had become less than nothing. I was her rock, the one she admired, the one she bragged about. He can fix anything, she used to say. He's solid, reliable, a real man. But now, I was just the guy she came home to at night after spending her days in a shiny office with people she considered superior. She didn't respect me anymore, and honestly, that was worse than the affair itself. So, I spent the rest of the morning on the phone. First, the reception venue. Luckily, they had a cancellation clause. I lost my deposit, but so be it. Then the caterers, the DJ, all those vendors you never think about until the day you have to cancel everything. The florist even cried when I told her what happened. She told me her husband had done the same thing years ago. She refunded me fully and told me to use the money to treat myself to something nice. People can be really kind sometimes. Then, I did what I should have done weeks ago. I went to Chloe's parents' house. Her father is a mechanic too. That's how I met Chloe. He had brought a car to our shop for a second opinion, saw me working, and thought I would be good for his daughter. Her mother opened the door, looking surprised. "Honey, shouldn't you be at work?" she asked. Then she saw my face. "What's wrong?" I took out my phone and I showed them the video. Her father arrived, and I have never seen someone get so red so fast. He started pacing back and forth, running his hands through his hair, exactly like Chloe does when she's stressed. "How long?" asked her mother in a soft voice. "I don't know exactly," I said, "but I would bet since her promotion." Her father froze. The promotion she got just after Mark became her supervisor. I nodded. Everything became clear now. Her mother started crying. "We raised her better than that," she repeated. Her father looked broken, as if he had failed. "It's not your fault," I told them. "You raised her correctly. She just made a different choice." I also showed them the bank statements, all the restaurants, the hotels, screenshots of those Instagram posts from professional evenings where I knew she was with Mark. She asked me for an open relationship last night. I ended up saying, but only for her. According to her, I'm not sophisticated enough to date others. Her father hit the table with his fist. Sophisticated? Is that what they call adultery now? We continued talking for a while. He kept apologizing, but I told them they had nothing to blame themselves for. It wasn't them who had been unfaithful to me. Before leaving, her father hugged me. "You will always be welcome here. You are the son I never had." I went back to Leo's, strangely at peace. Yes, my wedding was canceled. Yes, my fiancée was having an affair with her boss. Yes, I had lost deposits. But you know what? For the first time in months, I no longer felt like I wasn't good enough. I no longer needed to apologize for my job, my friends, or who I was. I sent a text to my boss. "I'm coming back tomorrow. I have a Mustang to finish." His answer, "That's my boy. Your grandfather would be proud." And you know what? I really think he would be. Not because I caught Chloe red-handed, but because I didn't let anyone make me ashamed of who I am or what I do for a living. The next day around noon, Chloe's mother called me. She told me that Chloe kept harassing them on the phone, crying, repeating that I was being unreasonable and that I needed to think. She didn't know that I had already shown them the evidence. Her mother asked me to come back. She said Chloe was coming for dinner and that it was time to put an end to this circus. I didn't really want to, but her father took the handset. "Son, You have the right to say what you have to say, and she needs to face what she has done. So here I am, sitting in their kitchen at 6 p.m., helping her mother prepare dinner like I had done dozens of times. Almost normal, except for the tension in the air. Her father was in his garage. Yes, he is one too. Probably to try to keep his calm. Then we heard the car. Her mother squeezed my hand and whispered to me, "Stay strong." Chloe walked in as if nothing was wrong, still in her chic work clothes. Then she saw me at the counter. Her face went pale. "What is he doing here?" she snapped, looking at her mother. Before anyone could answer, her father came out of the garage, wiping his hands on a rag, exactly like I do at work. "Sit down," he said with that parent voice you get when you're in big trouble. Chloe sat down. Some habits don't change, even when you're a brilliant marketing executive. "So," continued her father, "you've been calling us all day saying your fiancé is unreasonable. Here he is. Speak." Chloe started her whole speech again about the fact that we were drifting apart, that she needed space to explore, that I was too controlling and didn't support her career enough. Her mother kept cooking, but I could clearly see her shaking her head. When Chloe finished, her father looked at me. "Show her." I took out my phone, opened this morning's video, put it on the table, and pressed play. Chloe's face went from confusion to horror, seeing herself kissing Mark in that parking lot. That's not," she stammered. "Not what?" I asked. "Not what it looks like. Because it looks like you're kissing your boss at 7:30 in the morning when you're supposed to be at work. It looks like you're coming out of his luxury apartment building. It looks like you're lying to everyone." Her mother finally turned around. "How long, Chloe? How long has this been going on?" Chloe started crying. "It's not what you think," she tried one more time. I took out the bank statements next. Her expenses at the Grand Hotel. That neither? It's not what we think. The dinners for two in places where I've never been. All those emergency meetings that always took place when I was working overtime. Her father hadn't moved from his spot near the garage door. "We raised you better than that," he said softly. That hit her harder than anything else. "You don't understand," she sniffled. "Mark, he sees my potential. He knows what I can become. We are alike. We have the same goals." "Goals?" Her father cut her off. "Like being unfaithful to your fiancé? Like lying to your family? Is that the kind of goal you're talking about?" I sat there, watching her get tangled up, seeing her parents discover who their daughter had really become. It was sad, honestly. "You know what the worst part is?" I finally said. "You could have simply told me. If you didn't want to marry me anymore, if you had fallen for someone else, you could have told me. Instead of that, you made me believe that I wasn't good enough because I work with my hands, as if I should be ashamed of being a mechanic." Her mother approached and put her hands on my shoulders, as if to protect me. "Your father is a mechanic," she said to Chloe. "Was he not good enough, either?" That hit home. Chloe looked at her father, still in his overalls, rag still in hand. He had paid for 2 children's educations with this so-called not good enough work. "Dad, I didn't mean enough," he cut her off. "You want to throw away a good man who loves you, who works hard, who is honest, who is helping you build your future. Very well. But don't come into my house acting like working with one's hands is a shame." Chloe tried another approach. I need more than," she pointed vaguely at the kitchen, her mother's simple meal, her father's work clothes. "More than what?" asked her mother. "More than love? More than respect? More than a family who would do anything for you?" I stood up then and said what I had come to say. "I am canceling the wedding. I have already started the process. You can tell Mark that he won't need to hide anymore." "Mark is married," her father blurted out. We all turned towards him. "Yeah, I looked him up after you showed me the video. He has a wife and 2 kids in the suburbs. But I'm sure he sees your potential very well." Chloe's face. That is when she finally understood. She wasn't special. She wasn't heading towards an extraordinary future with Mark. She was just the latest office affair of a guy who surely did this all the time. She started, but I wasn't listening anymore. "Keep the ring. Sell it. Buy yourself more luxury clothes, whatever. I don't want anything from you anymore." I hugged her mother. I shook her father's hand. Leaving, I heard Chloe break down for good. And her mother telling her, "Actions have consequences, my darling." I got into my pickup truck. I sat there for a minute. You could still hear Chloe crying through the open kitchen window. Me? I felt nothing anymore. This woman didn't belong to me anymore. I didn't have to worry about it anymore. So, I started the engine and took the road to the garage. A Mustang was waiting for me, and for the first time since all this started, I knew exactly where I was going. After that whole situation with Chloe and her parents, I threw myself into work completely. My boss almost had to kick me out some nights. I did my normal hours, then I spent hours on the Mustang. My boss had started bringing me dinner, worried that I wasn't eating properly. Across from the garage, there is a small cafe. Nothing special, just good coffee and simple dishes. I started going there during my lunch breaks because I needed a quiet place to think, away from spare parts and worried colleagues. The first time, I barely looked up from my phone. I was managing yet another text from Chloe, trying to explain herself. A waitress arrived. Her name was Maya, big eyes, and she just waited, not rushed, not annoyed. When I finally raised my head, she had this patient smile, as if she understood. "Rough day?" she asked me, holding the coffee pot. I just nodded, and she filled my cup. "Do you want company with that coffee, or would you rather have some space?" The question surprised me. I looked up, and her big eyes threw me off. Deep, warm, steady, as if they saw clearly through the chaos in my head. Most people impose themselves in your life, you know? But her, she really asked. "If you don't mind?" I said, "No problem. Wave if you want another coffee." And she left me alone. No forced small talk, no hovering around my table, just me, my coffee, and my thoughts. I started going there almost every day. Maya often worked the lunch shift. We started talking, little by little. I learned that she works there while finishing her nursing studies. She likes the flexible hours, and the regular customers serve as training for patient relations. One day it was quiet. She sat across from me with her own coffee. "Do you mind?" she said. "My feet are killing me." We started chatting. She noticed the grease under my nails. "Yeah, it never comes off completely." And instead of making a disgusted face like Chloe used to do, she exclaimed, all excited, "Oh my God, you're a mechanic. That's awesome." It turns out she had been getting ripped off for years at garages because she didn't know anything about cars. I swear, they see a woman walk in and they add $100 straight to the bill, she said, rolling her eyes. Before I even realized it, I offered to teach her some basics in mechanics, just so she knows when someone is trying to take advantage of her. She lit up as if I had given her $1 million. "Really? You would do that?" We set a date for that weekend. I brought my tools to her building's parking lot. I showed her how to check her oil, change a tire, what all the dashboard lights mean. She took notes in a small notebook, asked smart questions. What really struck me is the way she treated all of it as precious knowledge, not as dirty, cheap work. She really wanted to learn. She even went under the car with me to see where the drain plug was, without worrying about getting her clothes dirty. After that, she started stopping by the garage sometimes, not in an annoying way, just to drop off coffee for everyone and say hello. The guys adored her. Dev, who is usually the grumpiest guy in the world, smiled when she arrived. One day, she came looking worried. Her car was making a funny noise. Without thinking, I grabbed my tools and followed her to check. I fixed it on the spot in the cafe parking lot. It was just a loose belt. She wanted to pay me, but I refused. The next day, she brought me a lunch she had prepared herself. Nothing extraordinary, just a sandwich and chips. But it was nice, you see. No complaints about my dirty hands or grease stains. No criticism of my job as a mechanic. We started spending more time together. She came to study at the garage while I worked on the Mustang. She talked to me about her classes, her plans after school. I told her about the cars I was working on, my ideas for the future of the garage. The thing is, she really listened. She asked questions, remembered details from our past conversations, and never once did she make me feel that my job wasn't important or that I should do something else with my life. One Saturday, I was showing her the Mustang again. She sat in the driver's seat, running her hands over the steering wheel that my grandfather had held thousands of times. "Tell me about him," she said softly. "Your grandfather?" So I did. "And there," she told me, "he would be very proud of what you're doing." Just like that, simple and honest. Not a grand declaration, not an attempt to push me to change careers, just a sincere recognition of the value of what I was doing. That's when I understood. Here was someone who saw me, really saw me, and liked what she saw. She wasn't trying to change me or improve me, nor push me to become someone else. The guys at the garage noticed it too. Leo took me aside one day and told me, "You're smiling again, man." Jenna asked, "Really?" And it was true. Not because Maya was a perfect girl or because she was fixing me after Chloe, but because for the first time in a long time, I felt like myself. With grease under my nails, simple lunches, restoring the Mustang, and all the rest. The best part of all this is that Maya was as authentic as me. No flashy job titles, no brand name clothes, no pretense. Just a hard-working student who brings coffee to the mechanic and who isn't afraid to get her hands dirty. After Chloe, I thought I could never trust someone like that again. But Maya, she made it easy, not with big promises or spectacular gestures, just by being sincerely interested in who I am, not who she would want me to be. And yeah, it has been months since everything blew up with Chloe. The Mustang is finally finished. Every bolt, every panel, every part, exactly as my grandfather would have wanted. Maya was there when I started it for the first time, sitting on the passenger side with a huge smile. The engine roared as if it was just waiting for the right moment to sing again. Later that evening, we drove it to my parents for Sunday dinner. My mother, seeing us arrive in my grandfather's car, started crying with joy. My father just nodded, that discreet, proud nod that says everything without words. Chloe's father was there too. Yeah, we keep in touch. He's more family to me now than Chloe ever was. Speaking of Chloe, karma hit her and Mark hard. Apparently, Mark's inappropriate relationships were a habit with new employees. Chloe was just the latest in a long list. His wife found out in the most public way possible. She discovered him in a very compromising situation with another young executive during the company Christmas party in his office. The whole company saw the scandal. His wife took him for everything in the divorce: houses, car, most of his money. Even better, she now owns half the shares of his company because he was foolish enough not to have a prenuptial agreement. She sits on the board of directors, and her first decision was to fire him. The guy now works in a small consulting firm in another state. No one in the industry wants him. Chloe tried to play the victim when everything came out. He manipulated me. I didn't know he was like that. But his 3 other past affairs spoke up, and everyone learned that Chloe knew about at least one of them. No more credibility. She was demoted, then practically forced to resign. The last I heard from her mother is that Chloe works a junior position in a very small company, earning less than before the promotion that had started all this. She is living with her parents again because she can no longer afford her luxurious apartment. All those designer clothes she had bought, she is selling them online to try to make ends meet. Her mother says she is doing some introspection. Of course, now that the prestigious job and the married boyfriend are gone, she has all the time in the world to reflect. Meanwhile, my life is pretty beautiful. My boss is talking about making me his partner at the garage, says he's getting too old to manage everything himself, and that I'm the only one he trusts enough to carry on his legacy. Business is booming. Many customers prefer honest mechanics who aren't trying to rip them off. So yeah, that's where I am today. Sometimes, the best karma isn't when bad things happen to those who hurt you. It's when good things happen to you because you stayed true to yourself. Comment: I know this story touches on some really tough emotions. What I hope you take away is the power of knowing your own worth. Your value isn't determined by your job, your income, or what someone else thinks of you. It's about having the courage to set boundaries when your respect is on the line. Surrounding yourself with people who see and appreciate the real you is so important for healing. True healing often begins when we stop focusing on the hurt and start investing in our own passions and peace. We can't control others, but we can control how we respond. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is to quietly walk away and build a better life. Remember to be kind to yourself through the process. I hope you always choose the path that honors your integrity. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.